Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video tutorial on opening theory. This would be the third video discussing the central cannon with rank chariot variation versus black's sandwich horse defense. Please go through the first two videos, especially the first one where I would have explained the initial opening lines and the reasons why some of the moves are made. So without further ado, let us begin this board. C2 equals to 5, Pale corner cannon, rank chariot, and rank chariot to rip file. Black develops as chariot as a file chariot. Both horses are developed as proper horses, as this would be the main reason for the rank horse. Black consolidates. Now, in the past two boards, red attacked with p5 plus 1 followed by h7 plus 5 to mount an immediate attack on the central file. But the results of the two previous boards do not seem to be very satisfactory for red. If black countered precisely, he would be able to at least neutralize red's attack and even gain the initiative in some of the variations. Now in this board, red would adopt a completely different approach. Now he would play p7 plus 1 instead of charging the central pawn forward. Now this is comparatively speaking, this variation will be much slower than less aggressive than the previous two variations whereby red would charge the central pawn forward. This would be a slow but steadfast approach, but would it work? So this will be the discussion for this video today. Now this would also be the position of discussion. Faced with this move, there were two major counters, two major variations for black. One would be p7 plus 1. You push the p7, you push the 7th pawn, I will do the same. This would neutralize each other out. The other would be to play c8 plus 4. Now, at this point in time, would it be a good idea for black to play the cross riverbank chariot to attack this pawn? Let us see. If he did, red would immediately return to his old habits and play p5 plus 1 and protect the central pawn in this manner. There's also the added option of playing p3 plus 1 to attack this chariot with this horse. This chariot would not have any good intersections to move to, and red could immediately start his attack from his central file. So red will benefit a lot from this situation, and that is why RA plus 5 cannot be a good option in this situation. Now, and one thing to note, in similar situations, if let's say red tried to protect the pawn with this, hoping to push c8 plus 2 to attack the chariot, black would usually counter immediately, and again red's position would be cramped, and this would not even be worse. So that is why the best move would be to play p5 plus 1, which is quite a commonly used tactical combination. If red captured the central pawn, again red will link his horses at the central file and start his attack, and again there will not be any good intersections for this chariot to move. So there will be several interesting this would not be good for black, and that is why RA plus 5 cannot be a good move in this situation. Sorry. So let us begin with variation A. You push the 7th pawn, I do the same. This is a common tactic or common strategy used especially in the opening phase. These two moves will cancel each other out, and red tries to develop his left chariot in this manner. c8 equals to 9. Now, at this point, black must position this cannon correctly. There are many hidden traps if he did not. Now, if the cannon were positioned properly, it could actually help black initiate a very powerful counter attack. This move would serve many purposes in this situation. So, comparatively speaking, c2 plus 4 would not be as good and actually be detrimental to black, even though with c2 plus 4, red could prepare to play c2 equals to 3 or c2 equals to 7. So let us see why c2 plus 4 is not a good idea. 9 equals to 8, capturing the elephant, forcing it to move. Red would sacrifice the pawn so that he could get his chariot to the riverbank and play h7 plus 6. But red would have none of it and prepared to attack the central file immediately. Central cannon. Obviously the pawn cannot be taken, or red would just move his horses, which are now free to roam the board. And red would get tempo in this attack. He could be prepared to capture the pawn, etc. And this would be a very favorable position for red. So that is why c2 plus 4 is not a good idea, even though superficially speaking it would serve several purposes. But c2 plus 2 will be a much more flexible and creative approach. With c2 plus 2, let's say red starts to attack this horse, black could move it to the external rib file. Now this is the second and eighth file are known as the external rib file, 外勒 in Xiangqi terminology. Red would develop his left chariot. A nice counter. After trading material, the red chariot would have advanced and then retreated, wasting one move. The horse will now cross the river to attack. Red switches formation, and this would be an even situation for both colors, one that black can be satisfied with, because in Xiangqi opening theory, red would usually hope to increase his initiative or gain some advantage because of his first move advantage. So if in the opening system, in the opening phase, an even situation was reached, this is usually considered to be a failure on red's part to gain initiative, and black can be more than happy with the situation. So that is why variation A, p7 plus 1, is viable. And another key point would be c2 plus 2 instead of c2 plus 4. So now let us go to variation B, r8 plus 4 to patrol the riverbank. Now this is also a very steady approach. Since red had slowed the pace of the game down, black would do likewise. He will not charge across the river and choose to consolidate his defenses and await the opportunity to attack. So h7 plus 6 for the riverbank horse. Now this would be an issue that red must deal with immediately, because with the horse over here, one very powerful tactical option would be to play r4 plus 4 to gain tempo. So it is recommended that red play p3 plus 1. p3 plus 1 to allow for development of this horse. Now r8 goes to 4 would not be a good idea, as red will immediately play c8 plus 2 for the riverbank cannon and be prepared to play c5 equals to 6 to shoo or dislodge the black chariot away. Let's say black tried p3 plus 1. Red would now play r4 equals to 7 for this very versatile counter, because the elephants have not been linked. There's a threat of once the chariot was able to get to this position, it will be a very powerful entity. Now red cannot hurry or rush his move with c5 equals to 6, because red would play now black would gladly play p3 plus 1 to offer a trade of material. Now this was the only move given in the book, but let us see what will happen. Let's say red captured. Black would immediately use his horse to capture the cannon, and there will still be a fork by the pawn. let's say if red tried to counter capture, black would make this move, and the issue of this horse would now become a big problem. It cannot advance or retreat because the black horse would have guarded both intersections. And if red tried to play out r4 equals to 8, the pawn would be protecting the horse. Black would only have to move the cannon away. So that is why black would be more than happy to trade material. And after trading material, we can see that red's offense would have been obliterated. There'll be no more offense by the cannon, etc. And it will be some time for red to try to mount an attack. Now if red capture the central pawn, there's still c6 equals to 5 to counter capture the horse, which cannot move, or this would be a check. Now red had not defended or constructed any defense, any form of defense at this point, so black would be more than happy in this situation. So c5 equals to 6 cannot be played. If this would be a brash, very brash move. So back to the board. We have r8 plus 4. After trading material, we can see that red would have developed 4 of his major pieces, concentrated them on one flank, although the attack from the central file is no more, but red is compensated with adequate defense for this cannon rank, and red would have the initiative. In contrast, the black chariot would have trouble getting development. It cannot move here because the cannon will now have covered this intersection. It cannot move here, the cannon will capture it. Perhaps only r1 equals to 3 would be viable, but again, the chariot was waiting here. So red would have the initiative, and that is why r8 equals to 4 would be a brash blunder. So back to the board. Instead, p3 plus 1 is recommended, and red will now continue with r4 plus 4 for a very aggressive counter, hoping to gain more momentum after the trade. Now this is the correct, this was the correct attitude that players taking red should have. They must be aggressive. If they play too passively, it will be very hard for them to increase their first move advantage and in the game. And if you wanted to play a passive approach, you can start with the elephant opening or some more defensively prone opening systems. And otherwise, this would go against the basic spirit of the central cannon. So p7 plus 1 is obviously not a good idea, because after capturing, black would now command a central command this file. The development of this chariot is a problem, and the horses are ready to go. Now if this, for the sandwich horse defense, this would be a very ideal formation, and black can easily obtain an even situation in this for this position. So r4 plus 4. Black refused to trade material and counter capture, forcing the cannon, threatening to capture the chariot again, forcing it to advance. Black could now play r1 equals to 3, threatening to play c6 plus 1 to capture the chariot. This is a commonly used trap by the sandwich horse defense. So that is why red would be forced to play h6 plus 5 to trade material. Check. Another check. And black would retreat or play c6 equals to 5 for central cannon counter, and threaten to capture the cannon at the same time. And at this point in time, it will be an even situation. Red would still have a central cannon attack going on, but that was basically it. There was no backup from the chariot or other pieces on the board. Now, it will also be hard for black to try to mount any decent counter attack soon. So this is basically an even situation. Thus, this variation of p7 plus 1 is considered to be very steadfast, and it will be very hard for red to try to increase his first move advantage, and that is why this variation is seldom seen in actual competition nowadays, whereby the usual attitude or usual idea would be for red to try to increase his initiative in the opening phase, going to the mid-game phase. And as for black, if he can be more than satisfied with this position, and This would be a very nice situation to be in if I were to play black. So let us review this board from the eyes of black. Okay, central cannon, fell corner cannon, rank chariot, proper horses, consolidation. P7 plus 1 is the topic of discussion today. Two major variations, P7 plus 1 and R8 plus 4. R8 plus 5 to attack will be a huge blunder because Red will get to develop his material and Red will benefit from the situation. As can be seen within a few, one or two moves, Red will have moved more material and Black would still have to deal with the issue of the central pawn charging and also the poor positioning of this black chariot. Variation A, P7 plus 1, is okay, and black, this is one of the key points for this variation would be to play C2 plus 2 instead of C2 plus 4, which would lead to a terrible situation as red will be able to develop his attack and gain tempo. C2 plus 2 is correct. Let's say the red chariot prepares to attack the horse. A7 plus 8, and after a trade of material, black can be satisfied with this situation. Both colors, it is still very even. Neither has the significant upper hand, but black would have can be considered to have succeeded in his opening phase. Variation B, R8 plus 4. Now with this move, the battleground or the main battleground will be the riverbank ranks. H7 plus 6, P3 plus 1 is advocated, R8 equals to 4 is a mistake. R4 plus 4 to be aggressive and proactive. P7 plus 1 will be a huge blunder. And after trading material, black sets a trap threatening to capture the chariot, forcing more material exchange. A check. And black can be satisfied with this situation. So I hope you like the work that I've been doing. Please do subscribe to my channel. I've been dealing with some personal issues, familiar issues recently, and our production has gone down a little bit. There's also some bad luck with the website, but hopefully all this will pass. And do give me your comments and support if you like the work that I've been doing. Thank you.